Hey everybody, welcome back to FunnySad with your hosts Travis Nelson and
Vanessa Don, we're back, y'all. And this week we got a treat for you. We got,
Derek Sheen.
What, me?
yeah.
We've never
Hey,
passed it off like that, but we have Derek Sheen on today, a fantastic comedian, longtime friend, haven't seen him for years. How are you doing, Derek?
great. It's really good to see you guys. Like, and I mean that genuinely.
Yeah.
Like, not just a, hey, it's really great to see you. I don't see people. Oh, this is nice. Look at Vanessa. I haven't seen you in so long.
I know. It's been a minute. You didn't have all this hair last time I
No,
saw you.
I
It
just
was
decided
shorter.
I'm post 50, so now I'm just gonna let it. Like the beard, I'm not gonna get too crazy. I got to trim that, but the hair, I'm just gonna let it go. Because if you still have it, might as well just keep growing it.
Yeah, man, I think it looks
Touche.
cool. You look like a druid, maybe. I don't know what druids look like, but I would say like that.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take Druid.
I'm kind of going for more of like a Qui-Gon Jinn thing here. I've pulled my hair back and then it's long, so
I'm
you know,
loving it because you look like a guy who shoots guns in his house.
yeah, which is really funny because it's very, very opposite of what I actually am. But yeah, maybe I'm just. It's time for me to start cosplaying as that type of person. Just make everyone uncomfortable all the time.
You got to get a neck tattoo.
Yeah. You got to talk
Oh,
about
man.
Kempo a lot.
Oh my God, yeah.
I do a lot of
Kimbo people are
post-that
so
fight.
weird, aren't they? You ever just run into like a very quiet, centered older man, and then you just find out his deal is that he's just done Kempo just since he's like 18 or whatever? Just very intense. No, is that just me?
Yes. I lived with one of those people. Very
Oh.
peaceful, but also really, but also the same kind of guy who occasionally would just have a nervous breakdown for no reason, and you're like, you have too much skill for that. You
Yeah.
could kill everybody in this house. You've got to.
No,
Let's calm it down.
the
You know how
first
to
weapon
post
you got to
that fight.
train is your mind, Kimpo. Yeah, I lived like down the street from a Kimpo place, and every time I walked by, there was just one older man in there by himself, and we always made eye contact. And I was just like, this has to be the strangest drug front. I don't know what this is a front for, but it's just this one man in there. Never saw anyone training other than him.
And
It's like
you
his own little
quietly
person.
acknowledged him, and he quietly acknowledged you, but in his head, he was like, I can defend your entire family with a curtain rod. Did you know that?
No, see, what I get from martial arts people, just because I'm an extremely large person, is they just give me that look, and I know what the look is because it's in their brain. They're just cataloging all the ways that they could break my body and take me down if they
That
needed to.
Terminator green screen thing that the Terminator does.
Yeah,
It's just
it's like
cataloging.
go for his left knee is weak. Go for the left knee. Try to hurt his shoulder. And so they always make me uncomfortable. I used to live with a bunch of wrestlers, and yeah, it felt like you were just in a room with a bunch of predatory animals that were just like analyzing you for your weaknesses. You know, it was very stressful.
Just ready to
gotta say,
take you
what
down
I-
at any moment.
What I really like about this setup right now is the three of us are all the same height. It's the only time in my life that I feel I'm equal to all, like to both of you, where I look at me like we could all be standing up. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
love
and
this.
just as like a fun aside about that, this is how I always see you guys. I don't think of myself as being taller. I see us as all the same height until someone takes a photo, then I'm like, God, I'm a monster, aren't I?
I mean, I look up to you literally and figuratively. So
Aw.
it's good to. No, I meant that. Look, it got all maudlin. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I like it.
You're good.
Vanessa, you want to do the first tweet? Oh, by the way, Derek, I think I already said it, but all we done is we picked out some of your tweets. We're gonna bring them up, joke about them, have some fun, and then yeah, call it good.
And then you're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, yeah, we really dug in.
It's a
We found your
trap.
burner account, Derek. Pretty fucked up, man. Pretty fucked up.
2008. You said this.
You know, I thought about going back that far, but like it wouldn't let me. So I was like, I could get on a whole different site and really investigate this, but I was like, nah.
All it is me bitching about my job.
I'll go first. I'm sat on my friend's toilet and fell asleep, but I look so peaceful they decided not to wake me up for 4 hours later, years old. Is this
True.
true?
You're 100% true. I was at a buddy's
Wait.
house in Portland, and I got really baked on their couch. And then I was like, I gotta pee, but I wanted to pee sitting down because I have a bad knee. So
Right.
I sat on the toilet.
Hey, you don't need a reason. That's just a nice break for you to have during your day.
And also,
I like to sit down and
I'm
pee.
not staying at pier that often unless it's an emergency. You know, it's only for emergencies.
Yeah,
Guys
or
rely
marking
on it way too
territory.
much. Yeah, you're gonna get pee everywhere. People are gonna know you peed. So I'm gonna sit down pier if I have to. But I fell right asleep, and it wasn't like 4 hours. They woke me up at 7 a.m.
Wow.
Like somebody was like, "I have to go to the bathroom. You have to get up." And I was like, "Wait, where am I? What? Oh no,
You
I
got
went to bed
you
at,
got
like
a full
midnight."
night's sleep on the
Yeah.
toilet?
I think I got home at like
Dang.
midnight or 1, and then I went to go take a pee, and I was out. I just sat on the toilet the whole time. That's not the first time. That's like
It's not the first time.
It's not the first time. There, look, I got it. Which story do you want? I got a ton of stories about me sleeping for 8 hours on a toilet.
the only reason that one was memorable is because the extent of time that I slept on the toilet. Like it wasn't
That is
a half
crazy.
hour or something. I didn't nap out for 15 minutes. It was a whole night cycle of sleep. Like my body
man.
processed energy, food into energy while I was there. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm refreshed, basically. I should get up and go do a farmer's market.
There's no way that you'll be able to remember this, but just for posterity, did you have a dream about Elvis?
That's
I have this channeling theory about toilets and Elvis. I think that's how you can connect to him the best.
Oh man, my uncle died on a toilet. It's pretty great.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, he died on a toilet, and they didn't find him for almost 2 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah, nobody liked him. He was a hermit, and he was a real butthole to everybody. And I talked about it on stage, but I mean it's a true story. My mom called me laughing, and she was like, "Oh my God, they found your uncle. He's dead. I got to call you back because I'm laughing too hard." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And I called her back, and I'm like, "What's so funny?" And she goes, "He died doing what he loved, being left alone." And I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh my God. That is, I mean, at least you guys had that. I guess that's the best way, is to have a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
yeah.
Remember how we all called your uncle a butthole? Well, you'll never guess.
He really was
Jesus.
a shitty hermit.
Oh man. I'm sorry. I need to read my first tweet and continue with this, but I had one of those like sci-fi show things where I just like fast forward in the future in my mind, and that's exactly how I die. It's just unloved and on a toilet, and everyone's like, "You're not gonna believe." Oh boy, Derek, I have a tweet of yours. Why I suck at parties. Kind stranger. This is a great space. You ever been here before? Me. Yeah, a couple years ago, they had a goth murder clown fetish party, and they hired me to tell jokes between burlesque-style murder tableaus. Stranger turns to walk away. Yeah, cool.
That was, you know what? That was just, I think that was Friday night because I was in that space about ready to do a show. And someone goes, "This is a cool space. You ever been here?" And I caught myself doing that. And I was like, oh, we should just tweet that. Because I literally walk away. Like they just did that thing where they saw someone, went, "Hey, Brenda, hey, remember me?" And they just took off from our conversation.
Hey, you, let's meet each other real quick.
Right? Hey, you're Brenda, right?
Like, hey, yeah, I do shit like that where I get like, I overshare without thinking about it because I think, hey, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm going to tell you a story, but I don't think about how horrific that shit is sometimes when I just say it out loud. I don't think about, I posted another one today that happened recently where someone was like, "Oh, this space is like, this party's too crowded. It's making me claustrophobic." And I was like, "Oh yeah, man, I can relate. Like my neighbor Larry White used to stuff me in a sleeping bag head first and then tie the end and then throw me in a closet and make me listen while he masturbated. So I can't do elevators anymore." And then they were like, "Cool, man. All right, I gotta go."
I gotta go say holy fuck into a pillow for a while. I'll be right back.
I mean, I wouldn't say I do it on accident. I kind of know I'm doing it, but I always think this will be cute if I say it like this, and it's never that way. It's always a bummer. I just bum people out in public.
I mean,
Sorry, it could be worse.
Not to that degree, but I'll do the same thing where it's like an emotional overshare that I don't realize because in your head you minimize certain things, and then it's just like, "Oops, I accidentally told you about that time." We have 4 hours left in this drive, so let's.
That's how it had in the locked car. You can't stop. All right, well, let's turn up the radio. What do you like, Hall & Oates? Let's go.
Yeah. Funny story. Well, actually, tragic story, but it's too late to stop now. Let's.
Yeah, my fifth grade teacher looked a lot like John Oates. He tried to kiss me on the mouth in shop class. Anyways, what do we got? 6 more hours to get there?
I'll never forget the fingers he didn't have. Very specific. All right, but
Daddy couldn't even play chopsticks. He could only play one chopstick. That's it.
Just one side.
Chopstick. Why didn't I just go there? Why did I just do that as the joke?
Always remember, there will come a time when you don't. A little. Whoa, Derek. We get deep on Twitter. We get deep.
It's so I'm caretaking him. I'm caretaking a 95-year-old man with stage 4 dementia. So I'm being reminded a lot of like this, like funny shit will pop into my head that's also kind of sad, but I'm like, oh, it pops in my head. I'm like, I don't know who else to share this with because I can't share it with him because he'll either take it personally or he'll forget how good this is. So then I just put it on Twitter. But it feels like it's accurate. Like it's an accurate thing for me. It's like it's funny, but someday like you might get to a place where you just don't remember stuff, and then you won't remember that you forgot it either. So it's kind of an Ouroboros, and it scares the shit out of me. But I'm also like, if I don't make fun of it, I'm gonna be scared of it.
Yeah. No, that's. Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to do. And Vanessa brought this up, but the show's called FunnySad, and we so intended to also pull up sad tweets, but then we realized that no one had very many of them, and then the ones that did, no one wanted to talk about them, and then we found your Twitter page.
I think if that's the title of the show, my Twitter page is a perfect balance.
No, yeah. That's what it's crazy we haven't had you on the show yet because it's literally your Twitter page is what this show is meant for technically.
Oh, that's awesome.
Literally.
Yeah. Okay, I have one. You said it's 1983 and a bunch of guys in my 7th grade class threw a party. The last thing I remember before waking up in a rowboat on the lake was hearing, "You ever chew Copenhagen soaked in Everclear?" Which, where was this?
This was in Federal Way. We grew up, and at the time there was there was just a mall. There was SeaTac Mall, and they were still kind of like incorporating it, but it was all farms, so it was all farm boys, and there was nothing else to do there except get high or get drunk or get in fights or all three. And so on the weekends we would just get together and party. But this is a particularly big party. Like it was an outdoor kegger. Somebody's parents were gone. And I just remember I sidled up if I remember correctly, I sidled up to this bigger kid. He was like a 9th grader, right? And I was like in 5th or 6th grade. And I like, he was super funny and he was in a band. So I like hanging out with this kid, and I'd always gravitate towards him because I wanted to be with the cool kids. And he was like, he had a big can of Skull. And he was like, you ever dip? And I'm like, no, I don't really dip, man. I've never done it. He's like, you want to try some dip? It's been soaked in Everclear. And I'm like, I don't even know what any of those words mean. Let's just put it in my mouth. And then literally within 4 minutes, I was like, whoo. And then I woke up on a rowboat with no oars. I was just in the middle of the lake. Somehow I got myself on the boat and just laid in this metal boat. And I woke up at like 4 or 5 in the morning with the worst headache. And I had no way how is that? I'm like, there's no oars. How am I supposed to get back to the shore? And then, by the way, I think that was my only experience with Everclear is it was in chewing tobacco. And I'll never forget the smell, like that smell of like rancid peppermint, you know?
Oh my
Just
God.
that shitty, or window green. Isn't that what they call it? Window green.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it was like
one of the
green. Even that flavor of gum just makes my stomach do nuts. And then I did it again. Then I did it again. Same kid gave me Everclear Skull the day I was supposed to interview for private school. My mom was sending me to private school because she wanted to get me out of the farm town because I was getting in trouble all the time. And then I tried to ride home on my bike, and I bit it like 4 or 5 times. I came home just covered in dirt and scabs. And this nice lady from the Scientology school in Sheridan, Oregon, because my parents didn't know what Scientology was, were like, she's here to interview. What happened to you? And I'm like, I fell off my bike. And then this woman was, they wanted the money so bad because they're Scientologists. So she was like, oh, this is a good interview. You've passed all the tests. They were just like, do you read? Do you like science fiction? Do you like, have you ever read any L. Ron Hubbard? And I'm like, no. Ooh, you're going to love it here. It's going to be great for you. And then I got to go to private school. And by the way, private school was a 200-year-old monastery on top of a hill in Sheridan, Oregon. It was surrounded by barbed wire fencing that was like 15 feet high. And it was just like Scientologists who that volunteered to live in this monastery. And it was a private school, but it wasn't a private school. It's like where they just siphoned money off of rich parents.
Jesus.
So I went to school with Juliette Lewis.
I don't know who that is. Juliette Lewis?
She was in Natural Born Killers.
Okay.
Opposite Woody Harrelson. She's been in a bunch of movies.
Okay. I'm really bad with actors.
No. She was like sort of famous in the 80s and 90s, but then she started really getting into Scientology, and now she's a wackadoodle. But
yeah, well.
So there's the backstory on that, by the way. That was way too much backstory.
No, I mean,
no, it's perfect. It was perfect.
I went to Scientology school, and it was like not a thing. I didn't even know that was like, my parents had no idea they were sending me into a cult.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how much of it was actual school and how much of it was just cult?
It was 60-40, 60% indoctrination and then 40% learning. And the learning stuff was all like approved by L. Ron Hubbard. So it was very, it was proto-cerebral. You know, it was written by a guy who isn't very deep, but liked to sound deep. And so everybody was like, this good game-changing educational prospects. But half the people there couldn't read. So it was just it was take your money, take your kid to school and drop him off and pay a bunch of money. And then they really tried hard to get me to like do auditing courses, and you should call your parents and see if they'll send the money for this auditing course so we can, you know, get rid of your guilt dating. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is, baby. I think first girl there though.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sexy times at the Scientology private school. That's fascinating. So when you watched the movie Battlefield Earth with John Travolta, how was that for you?
Oh, I tried to. I got like 5 minutes into it. That book is so terrible. It's one of the worst written pieces of shit I've ever tried to get through.
I was gonna say
I got through the first book, and there's like 8 of them, and they're all like 1,000 pages. They're all like the Gulag archipelago of fucking science fiction. But that guy sucked. Like, he couldn't write characters, couldn't write dialogue. He was a piece of shit. He was a terrible writer. Like, the fact that he didn't commit suicide on a yacht just blows my mind. That he lived to a ripe age and just died of natural causes. It should have been an author suicide where he's like, I suck at this, and then blew his brains out. But he couldn't do that, and he just kept on making shitty books. Each one worse than... If you saw the movie, the funny thing is that movie's terrible, but it's not even a quarter as bad as the book. It's the only time I've been like, wow, this is worse than the book. Like,
you should read the book.
Yeah.
Jesus, the movie's bad.
You can hate the movie even more. Like, that's the only way to recommend it.
That's so funny. I really like reading science fiction, and I was going through like old bookstores and trying to find books that won the Hugo Award from way back when, like 60s, 70s, and so much of it is so god awful bad. I think just the bar was so low back then, because now you read like I think it was reading like N.K. Jemisin that got me back into like my science fiction kick. And it's just like the disparity between like how well it's written now and how poorly it was written back then is just insane.
It's because honestly, there was this great period in the 40s and 50s where science fiction was really like about, you know, the exploration of the human mind in space, and how, you know, our relationship to things changing in science, and how science is scary, right? Like not having unchecked power and after the war is kind of like, I think that's where a lot of that stuff came out of, his post-war, you know, fear. And it's great. Asimov, you know, Bradbury, there's just tons of great sci-fi that came out of that, because we were just having a technological advancements one after the other. And then in the 70s, it was just the sexual revolution and cocaine. And then all the sci-fi was like, what if everybody fucked?
Yeah.
Some of them were robots. What if you could fuck a robot? Just people higher than shit just talking about robot fucking.
And that got us Logan's Run.
That goes, people still love that movie, and I'm like, I don't get it. I never got it. Even as a kid, it was fucking awful. And
Yeah,
the book was dumb.
I have a friend who loves, unironically loves bad science fiction, and she's constantly sending me these movies to watch, and I'll watch every single one of them. But it's so funny because I just have to like put myself into her mindset of like, all right, imagine if I liked this movie, and then I watch it. It's the only way I can get through them.
Oh my God, Vanessa, what's the worst book you've like? I'll ask Travis. The worst book you've ever read, like the one book you've read where you're like, I can't even finish this. It's garbage.
There's this one book about like bowling, and I was trying because like the back, like the cover and everything, like the reviews and everything made it seem so good, and it was like a bowling alley, but it was haunted and it's going back in the history, and like I was just trying to get to the good part, but then like when it was almost over, I just gave up. I was like, you know what, like fuck this. I've been reading this book for days trying to get to the good part, and they're just fucking talking about bowling and some weird ghost in a cemetery. Like, no, I'm done.
One of those books where like you were begrudgingly tried to finish it because you were like, I invested in this and now I can't do it.
It was because I was just like, you know, it's gonna get better. Like the reviews say this is a good book, like it's gonna get better. I kept trying to read it until like one day I was like, you know what, fuck this book. Like I don't have to finish this book.
Travis, what about you? It's like a book that you like, maybe a book that you were excited to read and then you got into it and you're like, this is terrible. How do people like that?
I have like sometimes like I find like a lot of like self-help type books or like that type of a like genre of book, like, you know, how to do this and do that, like they're usually all bullshit. Like it's usually just the most unreadable garbage because it all is like, this is what you're going to be able to do, and then it doesn't explain how, like it's just nonsense. So I've had a few of those that I couldn't finish reading, but specifically I remember because I used to just, when I was a kid, I would read anything. I loved to read, and I remember really liking like Orson Scott Card had like Ender's Game, and then he had like a few different series that were in the same universe, and I remember really liking that as a kid. And then just at some point, I think in the last like maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, I just happened to see one of his new books. So I picked it up and I started reading it, and it was it was such crap. It was just so unreadable. And I was like, oh my, like, and I had to go back and check the old books. I'm like, no, these were the, you know, I'm too old for them now, but I'm like, no, these were like well written at least. Whereas like a lot of his new stuff is just kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he's kind of crazy now, I think too. Like, he's just an unreliable narrator in any of his books. Like, it's weird. I grew up reading his stuff and I loved it. And then I was like, oh man, you turned into a butthole.
Yeah. Isn't that a bummer?
Yeah, it's a bummer. There's a lot of those authors though. Like they got older and I'm like, oh, now I know about you as a person and now I'm bummed out.
J.K. Rowling is one.
Yeah, fuck.
Oh yeah, forget about her. Because she was such like the good guy for a long time. Like, I'm gonna donate money for my books, and then she was like, you know what? Never mind.
It's like, I'm gonna write an LGBTQ character, and you're like, what happened to the T? And she's like, huh? I don't know about that. What's that? What's the T?
Right? Yeah. I don't know her. I don't know T's.
And she's also like, after the fact, she's like, you know, as society has like advanced more, now she's trying to go back and like retcon a bunch of the characters into fitting into these molds that make more sense now. You know what I mean? Like this character, there's no nods toward it at all in the entire series. But now that I feel it's fashionable, they were gay. It's just,
if you couldn't tell,
yeah.
You're clearly gay.
God, she's the worst. Is anybody excited for the Dune movies? And have you tried to read a Dune novel?
Haven't.
Because I'm kind of stoked to see the movie just because I could never get through the books, and I was like, I tried so hard, I really did, and I just could never get through. And I'm like, is it me? Like, am I an asshole? I just can't enjoy this. Everybody, all my friends, I don't think they read them either, though. I think they just did that thing where they were like, yeah, we've read all the Dune books. I don't think they've read any of them. I think they
just the Cliff Notes.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's actually read all the Dune books. Everyone's just said they have, and then they were like, these are popular, right? Let's talk. They're amazing books. Nobody's ever read them. Sold millions of copies and no one's ever gotten through 20
the entirety of like the franchise of Dune is just based on the fact that everyone lied about reading the books. People are like, these got to be popular.
I got one last tweet. I'm gonna sing it how it should be. O'Reilly's me ruining a perfectly good orgasm. I just need to know if you actually did this or not.
So everything has a truth to it in some way. Although I wasn't with anybody when that happened. So I will just say that it popped into my head while I was in a hotel, and I had to do it to make myself laugh. And it happened. Like it happened, but it happened on purpose because I was like, what happens if I just make myself laugh while this is happening?
Yeah.
And then I went, oh, what happens if I tweet about it? Why can't anything be private? Why can't you just enjoy something on your own, Derek?
No, that was meant to be shared.
Had to be.
Yeah, I don't know whatever poetic muse put that into your head, but you weren't meant to keep it to yourself. That was a gift for us all.
It was just Derek watching TV, and that was a commercial on.
I mean, I do have a history. I mean, my wife will back me up on it, of like occasionally saying uncomfortable things to get a laugh right at that moment. Or I'll just be like, hope this baby grows up to be president. Like, and then she's out of the moment completely.
Oh yeah.
She's like,
yeah.
Baby,
you can't make a baby.
I think that's a very comedic instinct, and I can't speak to your relationship. In my experience, it has never ever come off positively. Just trying to make a joke during intimacy has never been the right way to go. But for some reason, I can't stop veering. Like there's a fork in the road, and I always take the wrong fucking path.
Right? You're like, this is so good. I'm gonna get it out right now, and they're like, oh.
And the worst part is, like, they'll be mad, but like you did it for yourself. It was never about them, and that's what makes it.
Right.
That's why it's bad. It was an intimate moment that you ruined by being selfish and saying O'Reilly's, and
you're just cracking up, like having the time of your life.
it doesn't
Like,
matter.
I feel so
It's
good.
still funny. I have this tweet of yours that says, I think it's a little generous to call them stretch marks because that would imply that I actually got them from doing something other than sitting/eating after midnight. Oh boy. Did this pandemic I haven't had to deal with renewing stretch marks so much since I went through my big growth spurt as like a middle schooler.
I gained so much grief weight because, like, holy shit, not just the pandemic, but like, you know, right before pandemic, my mom died. And then as the pandemic started, my grandfather was like, I need full-time care because I can't stop falling down. And then we had to move him in. And then I lost 2 friends. And then I had another friend commit suicide. And I was like, just eating my feelings the whole time. And I'm like, and my granddad's dog died, but then we brought him back to life. And it was like, when does this stop? Just eating. After just eat Taco Bell. That's all we could do. My wife is like, you want to get dinner? And I'm like, no, we're going to wait till everybody goes to bed. We're just going to get 8 bags of Taco Bell. That's all we're doing. And I also started smoking so much more weed, like so much more. I get so high. And now I've hit that plateau where it's like a daily, I just got to get high every day. I don't care anymore. I'm over 50, but now I just eat garbage. So I got to a place where I was able to put on my pants again. And then I looked down. I had to go see a new doctor, and she wanted to take my shirt off so she could see my body mass index, right? Check out my fat and my little stuff. And she's like, whoo, boy, it's a real roadmap down here. And I was like, you're not helping me at all. Like, you're not helping me.
Did she really say, whoo, boy?
She did. She did one of these. She was like, whoo.
Land sakes.
She goes, boy, you've seen a lot of action. And I go, no, I haven't. That's how I got those, is from not seeing any action. Like, you don't get stretch marks from stretching. That's the thing I was thinking. Like, I'm not getting those because I'm doing toe curls all day, or, I'm out like, bench pressing or doing chin-ups. I got those because I ate a bag of hot Fritos at 1 a.m. And then I drank enough water, so I shit everything out, and that's what's left. Just a bunch of places where my skin was like, I'm here. Now I'm here. So, yeah.
Well, I understand the premise you've gone with, but I also want to assert another premise, which would be that you earned those stretch marks, maybe not through exercise, but probably through literally the hardest possible course of getting those stretch marks. Like that's not yeah, you were sitting and eating through grief, but it's not like you weren't putting in some work, right?
Can we call stretch marks grief chevrons? Can we call
grief decals?
He's no longer a lieutenant in this man's fat army. He's a general.
He's got stripes now.
And you will address him as such. You will salute him.
You show him the respect he's due, damn it.
Oh,
all right.
man.
Well, thanks so much for doing the show, Derek. Is there anything you want to promote, those upcoming shows?
I would say promote, if I'm promoting anything, I'm promoting the website at DerekSheenRulz.com, because I'm updating my calendar all the time. And we just launched a new site, so it's a little more streamlined and fun and colorful, and it's got a lot of new updates, links to the albums, and who knows what's going to happen. So I'm just trying to stay active without getting on TikTok. People still Snapchat, and I'm like, what are you doing with Snapchat? We've got new filters.
Right?
Come on, we're grown-ups.
Snapchat is the dumbest app. I want to not have it, but I only have it because every once in a while my sister will send me a video of her dogs, and she won't text it to me. She'll just send it on Snapchat. So I know if I delete Snapchat, no more funny dog videos. And that's
lost the connection.
Yeah. God. Same with my sisters and their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have, that's the only reason I'm still on Facebook is because my family's on there, but I absolutely despise it. I only use it for I guess I'll post a show because I have some friends that still use it, but man, oh man, I want to get free of that thing so bad. It just feels like a social media albatross that everybody has to wear around their neck. Yeah. And then every month they're like, well, Mark Zuckerberg aborted 18 babies in his home and then used the fetal tissue to make himself younger. And I'm like, I'm not leaving yet. My grandma still uses this. I don't care.
Right? This is the only way I talk to some of these people. So I guess this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
I don't care if he's built a rocket out of elderly people's bones. I'm going to keep using it.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos has gone to space using the tears of his factory or warehouse workers as combustion fluid, right? Just the suicides ring out, and that's what propels him to space.
Yeah, I just think there's probably a machine in his house that just employees get in it, and it just squeezes him hard until their tears come out, and then he puts a cocktail glass underneath of him, and then a little vermouth, and he's like, "Oh, this keeps me young." Yeah.
I think I
just
tweeted
tear
something.
Martinis.
Yeah. Do you think that? I think he became an honorary astronaut for doing that. Do you think his blood boy also became an honorary astronaut for his blood making it to space?
Oh shit! Do you think they snuck him on the rocket just to
just in case,
Just going through 5G, he's got his veins open.
And his Fury Roaded his blood boy on there, and he's just fucking locked in. Just fresh. Get me fresh blood.
I want to look peppy when I get back.
Right? If we get stuck out here, I'm gonna need that.
All right, I gotta get out of here. But thank you so much for doing it, Derek. It was great to chat with you again.
Yeah, thank you. It was super fun to see. It was so good to see you and both of you. And thank you so much for having me on. This was
thanks for doing it, Derek.
Yeah, I had a blast. I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, sounds great.
Hopefully.
All right, thanks for checking it out, everybody. Keep an eye out for the next episode. Check out Derek's website, DerekRulz.com. That's it, right? Derek Rules?
Derek Sheen.
Derek Sheen Rules. Sorry. DerekSheenRulz.com. And see you next time.